When magic began to fade, the Vastaya realized unless they protected it, they too would vanish. Xayah and Rakan are two for whom home is not a place but a feeling, and as the world around them crumbles, they hold fast to each other. But their enemy is strong. Zed and his Order of Shadows are seasoned temples corrupting the land and turning magic against those it once sustained. Xayah and Rakan cannot save the entire world, yet they will fight for what still might be saved, or at least try. Let us follow their arduous journey from the very first step. Once, the Vastaya of the Lotland tribe lived on the island of Quaylin, east of the main continent, near the enchanted Ionian forests. There, magic coursed through every blade of grass and time seemed to stand still. To these beast folk, the land was home, while the rest of the world was a lifeless waste where wonder waned. With each year, that waste spread, driving out magic and bringing the tribe's end near. The Vastaya bargained with mortals, hoping to preserve their enchanted lands, but humans broke their oaths time and time again. Many Lotland retreated deep into the forest. Xayah was not among them. Stern, resolute, and silent, she vowed to fight for her people's survival. Rakan turned to humankind, denying the bleak prophecies. A young battle dancer with a heart of gold, he believed that if mortals witnessed magic in its pure beauty, they would change. For this, he was branded Mutaklo, friend of humans, traitor, yet he made no defense. He sang and danced, certain he could soften mortal hearts. Taverns welcomed him, but the longer he traveled, the clearer it became that no understanding lay behind their smiles. They cheered but did not hear. To them, he was a gaudy toy, not a herald of a dying world. Emptiness gnawed at him, until at the harvest festival in Lanko, he saw her, Xayah, the purple raven of his tribe. He whirled and sang, scattering shining feathers. The crowd roared, but she did not. She watched, curious, neither admiring nor scornful. That moved him more than any praise. Later, talking together, he learned the grim truth. The Lotland were almost extinct, their last lands lost, strangers driving them even from the fringes. Rage consumed Rakan, and that impressed Xayah. She spoke of her struggle to restore the Vastaya's former glory, of resistance, pain, hope. He understood this was his purpose. He begged to join her, promising not to hinder. Soon he proved as brilliant in battle as on stage. His dance dazzled enemies while Xayah struck those trapped in his whirlwind. United, they were a swift, unbreakable storm. Years passed. They stayed different. Xayah was focused, uncompromising, convinced mortals deserved no mercy. Rakan was light-hearted, radiant, still hoping for a better future. They fought and quarreled, yet never forgot what mattered most, each other. Amid a tavern brawl, they pledged loyalty and love. From there on, their path was shared. Together they fought for the ancient lands of Vastaya. Together, they carried magic's light where stone and iron had smothered it. While they stood together, they believed change remained possible. For several years, Xayah and Rakan battled to reclaim their people's lands, side by side. From burnt villages to ruined shrines, hoping mortals would relent. Instead, the enemy grew stronger. Humans no longer masked intent would talk. They seized territory coldly, leaving only ashes. The change began with a schism in the Kinku order. One of its finest, Zed, rejected teachings of mercy and balance, refusing to forgive those who had harmed his homeland. He turned to shadow and founded a new force, the Order of Shadow. Warriors like him vowed to defend Ionia at any cost, even through bloodshed. To claim true power, Zed seized the Kinko temple, slew his former brothers, and mastered the Tears of Shadow, learning to fight beside living shades of himself. As the order grew, temples vanished, and with them the old ways. Zed's shadow spread swiftly, a blight on Ionia's sacred land. Disciples infiltrated monasteries, captured ancient citadels, and even took prisons, jails for humans in Vastaya who refused submission. One such fortress was Pubo, a cold stone dungeon where Vastaya captives from across Ionia were cast. Among the prisoners were those who still recalled Lotland songs, the familiar melodies of Xayah and Rakan. But there was also someone among the prisoners whom no one expected to see. Akunir was one of Xayah's father's oldest friends, a diplomat and high-ranking consul of the Lotland tribe. On learning this, Xayah and Rakan did not hesitate. They left everything behind to risk all in rescuing those who could still revive the spirit of freedom. Xayah plotted a daring assault. Rakan would distract the guards while she slipped into the heart of the fortress. His natural theatricality, so often a hindrance, now became a weapon. He began his performance early, drawing the sentries toward the commotion and leaving Xayah a clear path. One soldier leveled a bow at Rakan's back, but Xayah without pause struck first. Her movements were razor precise like a hunting hawk. Silent and deadly, she cut down the guards and reached the cells. Freeing Ionia and the other captives, Xayah led them toward the gate where Rakan still held off dozens of soldiers. The consul, weakened by long captivity, could barely stand. His wife Carl was a little stronger. Yet they escaped the walls and fled into the forest, but Sue was close behind. When their hunters caught up, Xayah sprang to fight once more. Her rage blazed anew. The attackers scarcely realized who slew them. The fugitives found shelter in the thickets, but the victory tasted bitter. Jurley, one of Ionia's companions, died of his wounds. Grief-stricken, Carl resolved to return north to warn their tribe and prepare for war. Ionia begged her to seek a peaceful path, but she rejected both plea and partnership. With only a handful of loyal guards, Ionia set out southward to seek aid from the remnants of the King Order. Xayah doubted the success of such diplomacy. To her, one truth was clear: humans would never grant the Vastaya freedom, only struggle remained. Once more, without help from the outside, she and Rakan paused in the hush of the forest. She asked him to promise that their bond would never mirror Ionia and Carl's fate. Gazing into her eyes, he swore they were different, their love unbreakable. In his arms, Xayah found comfort and resolve. She needed no house of stone or wood. Her home was wherever he was, in his heartbeat, his breath, his smile. Peace proved brief. Rumors spread across Ionia like smoke. Zed and his order were seizing even more land. Whisper told that Zed sought not mere power but true might, enslaving temples and quiet villages where natural balance had endured for centuries. At each captured site it placed a quinlan, a ring of 5 immense stones that rotated slowly in midair. This great totem, whose ancient magic suppressed the First Land's natural flow, also hoarded Shadowborn power, granting Zed and his followers mountain strength. Xayah and Rakan knew that if this continued, the Vastaya would lose their bond with nature, and with it their very essence. They set out a new goal: destroy every quinlan, letting the land's own magic surge again, even if mortals perished for it. Their first target was an age-worn temple forgotten by time. With trusted allies, they stormed the sanctuary guarded by humans. When the quinlan fell, magic flared outward, transforming all around. Forest spirits awoke, and the Vastaya, Xayah included, felt a power that could reshape their forms. The warriors rejoiced, believing they had restored the land's true nature. Yet the blast brought ruin to the nearby human village. Houses toppled, plants writhed to life, and people fled in panic. Xayah watched coldly, convinced mortals had earned this fate through greed. Rakan observed in silence, his quiet betraying mixed feelings. Soon after, a plea for aid reached them from the Vlota tribe. 3 months later, they arrived to find a settlement of sick and starving Vastaya. The Vlota, cloaked in iridescent fur and bearing bone blades in place of wings, dwelt on land tainted by warped magic. Elder Levika explained the Kun Temple and its quinlan had been seized by warriors clad in black and red, Yanlei, agents of the Order of Shadow. The tribe asked for help, in returning the shrine to its monks with whom they had a long-standing alliance. Xayah vehemently rejected the idea, insisting on destroying the quinlan. Her refuse sparked conflict with Elder Levika. Rakan stepped in, defending Xayah's position, and by displaying his strength, silenced the Elder's guards. After that, Xayah softened her tone, explaining that dependence on humans was destroying the tribe, and that freeing the land's magic would give the Vastaya a future. Levika asked for time to think until morning. The next day, the Elder agreed to Xayah's plan and lent warriors for diversionary attacks. Xayah and Rakan would infiltrate the city together to reach the Kun Temple. Dressed in human garb, they tried to blend with townsfolk, but a bell-bearing mage who could sense Vastaya spotted them. Pursued by guards in black and red, the Yanlei, the fugitives found refuge in the home of Gutan, a mortal who sympathized with the Vastaya. She hid them in a secret room where wounded monks were also concealed. Though wary, Xayah and Rakan stayed safe while soldiers searched the streets. After supper with Abbess Gutan and her disciples, the two Vastaya slipped away before dawn, keeping their true aim, the Quinlan's destruction, secret. Using Xayah's maps and calculations, they skirted patrols en route to the mountain temple. Along the path, they saw that the Quinlan did more than suppress magic. It actively drained it, leaving dark energy in its wake. Meanwhile, the Vlota staged diversionary raids, letting the pair avoid clashes with Yanlei main forces. Reaching the temple, Xayah and Rakan swiftly cut down the entrance guards. Rakan's dance-like agility dazzled foes, while Xayah's feather blades struck with lethal precision. Overcoming resistance, they broke inside to begin the mission's heart, destroying the Quinlan. Xayah entered the main hall, where a sunlit doorway drew her gaze. Strange crystal coffers, lifeless, devoid of magic, lined the ruined corridor as though crafted against nature itself. Circling them, she reached the core, the Quinlan blazing blood red. Giant ruby stones spun aloft, siphoning magic from everything nearby, even tiny forest spirits. Xayah felt its pull, but before she could act, Zed stepped from the shadows. His movements were swift, unnatural, melded with darkness, and his magic felt alien and dark. Knowing she was weakened, Xayah hurled feather blades. Zed deflected them with ease. One errant quill pierced the ruby and the crystal cracked. Realization struck that the stones were fragile under their own stolen power. Summoning her remaining strength, she conjured dozens of blades, aiming at both Zed and the Quinlan. Each miss bit deeper into the ruby, widening fissures. Zed, sensing the ploy, pressed harder, exhausting her. Xayah braced for death, believing her sacrifice would shatter both Quinlan and foe, but sorrow rose that she would never see Rakan again. Zed exploited her hesitation, knocking her down and raising his weapon for the final blow. Xayah did not parry. Instead, she recalled every blade, ripping them from the Quinlan's cracks. The stones began to crumble. The temple roof followed. At that instant, Rakan arrived. He swept Xayah up, his cloak unfurling in a golden whirlwind that formed a shield. Zed's blades clattered against it, but tumbling masonry sapped Rakan's strength. With a roar, he dropped to his knees and darkness swallowed all. Xayah and Rakan awoke amid the temple's ruins. The warriors of the Order of Shadow fled in panic from the first wave of liberated magic, which set forests aglow and roused ancient spirits. Despite the devastation, the magic here proved uniquely strong and healing. Xayah understood the Vlota, and the Vastaya at large would now taste freedom, as had the Keptala. Her dream of a future for their people felt near. Xayah and Rakan had triumphed again. The Quinlan lay broken, and magic returned to the land. Yet what awaited them? New battles, losses, or discord between themselves? How do you guys see this pair? Heroes, lovers, or avengers? Do share in the comments, and if you enjoyed the tale, like and subscribe. More stories are on the way. Thank you for visiting my tavern, and see you guys soon for a mug of the finest ale in all of Runeterra.